Welcome out to church. I'm excited about Fixing Us this morning. It's going to be great. I have asked Justin Snyder, our wonderful horticulture guy, to give me a rose bush. He sent me a picture. This is not what I intended. When he sent me the photo, it was so much bigger. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I said, don't kill it. That's what I told him. I said, don't kill it. Bring it to church. So he brought it. This is not what I wanted. I wanted a nice big rose bush. I was going to cut roses off and put it in my mouth. This just looks ridiculous in my mouth. So here it is. So we would treat this like the first year of marriage, okay? And this is what it looks like. So here we go. All right. I feel like I have dirt on my face now. All right. So this is marriage. It really, truly is. If I was to yell at this bush, would it grow faster? No. And like, nothing, right? Nothing. It's just going to stand there. So if I yell at my wife, will she love me more? No, it's not going to happen. If she yelled at me, would that cause me to love her more? Not at all. Not in a little bit. If I picked leaves off and threw them on the ground, is that going to help? No. If all my wife wants to do is hurt me emotionally, now, physically would be weird, but I mean, I can imagine my wife, I come home and she starts punching me. She's kind of small, because I'm so manly. All right, sorry, anyway. So anyway, but if there's this picking and constant kind of just scarring and hurting me, that's not going to help. It's going to be horrible, right? And it's going to cause me not to look good. And then vice versa, it works the same. So there's this idea of building and nurturing, right? So if I was to take this and I put a cloth over top of it, all right, and just kept it there for weeks, what's going to happen? It's going to die. Same reason why you got to go on dates. The same reason why you got to get out of the house. Everyone needs vitamin D. Everybody. Get out of the house. Don't sit here and keep it all like protected, and it's like this is it, and you cover it, and you don't do anything with it. It's going to die. It's going to die. Now, these blooms, what these blooms represent, it's actually, it's a memory. It's a moment. Because it comes up, right? You've planned for this moment. And it's blossomed, and you're like all excited about it. But you can't live on that moment, because you got to cut it. You got to prune this, right? So if you cut this flower off, and what do you do with it? You put it in a vase. You stare at it, and you go, oh, it's so pretty. You smell it for a little bit, and then what happens? It dies, and you throw it away. But same like a picture. Take a picture of the moment, put it in a frame. It's up there for a while. You're all excited, and eventually you replace it with more memories, more photos. So this is what happens. But the key thing is you can't live on just that one moment. You've got to continue to produce more moments. You've got to continue to actually put some value into this, watering it, nourishing it with the right nutritional things. That's what we have to do in our marriage. If we just look at this as just, this is day one of marriage, and we go, oh, how beautiful and how wonderful, then we're going to fail. Because everyone can obviously acknowledge the fact, that's for you, baby. Everyone in this room has to acknowledge the fact that it's easy falling in love. That's easy. That's cake, unless you have a third eyeball. That's the only... Some of you are like, that's so mean. No one in this room is a third eyeball, all right? So don't even get on that. But you guys, it's easy to fall in love. The problem is staying in love, because that takes a plan. You've got to have a plan to stay in love. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 21, it says, wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will also be. Where's your treasure? Now, you guys know the hierarchy, right? God, spouse, family, work. That's how it goes, right? So here you got the spouse is right up there, right under God. And that's your treasure. You've got to love on your spouse. You've got to dote on that individual. You have to put some value into this. This is your treasure. If you show no treasure in this marriage, then what's going to happen is that they're going to feel no self-worth. They're going to wither away, and they're going to feel as if they're all alone, and that's not a healthy marriage. No longer two, but one, right? When you get married, you're no longer two. It's not an individual type of game that I'm only concerned about myself and my needs. It's meeting their needs as well. Now, I have to say this, and I'm not just saying it because my wife's in this service, but in the first service I said the same things. A few others will vouch for this, but listen, my wife and I's marriage is not the perfect marriage. And I'm not setting myself on a pedestal to say, oh, look at us, There's going to be some suggestions that I give today, and those are some actual suggestions that me and my wife need to work on as well. So don't walk away with this, and that's really Satan himself speaking to you to not be able to receive the message this morning. Oh, look at that guy up there. He's on his high horse. He thinks he's just this. I'm going to tell you right now, that's hogwash, and it should be understood that I'm not perfect, all right? And that my wife and I are continually working on this because I just said it earlier. It's a continual plan. It's not something we just planted and go and we can just walk away from it. There's always going to be moments of growth and stretching and helping and building. That's what it's all about, okay? So no one in this room get an attitude, okay? Brush it off, take the chip off your shoulder, and let's get real, okay? But if we're addressing this scripture appropriately, we've got to know where our treasure is. And treasure is exactly what treasure is, okay? It's putting the good stuff in there, the things that have value. Marriage has value. If we continue to put our treasure, or if we have a treasure chest and we keep putting stuff in this box that's just not of worth and no value, then at the end of our marriage, when we open it up and we look at it and we go, ugh, what did we do for the last 50, 75 years? What did we do? This is junk. We have to put value into this box. So we're going to address some of these things today. And one of the things I hope that you realize is you need help. There's nothing wrong with addressing the fact that, hey, we need help. Stop with the facade of like, I don't need nothing. I've got it all together. Everyone in this room needs help. If you don't need help, leave. No, go. Now, leave. Go home. Everybody get it? So everyone in this room needs help, so you're not alone. Everybody needs something to sharpen, okay? So we want to plan. We want to be what God has called us to be. Have you recently, in all of your marriage, have you ever asked the question, man, I love that in 20 years, we will still be this. Have you ever asked that question to your spouse? Sitting around at your date night, sitting around on the couch, have you looked at each other and said, in 20 years, we will still be doing this? That's what I love. Because if you're saying those types of words, then you've got a plan. I don't feel like marriages have plans anymore. I feel like it's a day-to-day moment. It's like, what's today? Let's just handle today. Let's just wake up, get what we got to get done, and then go to bed. That's today. But we don't make a plan. There's no vision. And we've got to stop that attitude. We've got to stop that train of thought. So here in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 8, it says, the wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways, but the folly of fools is deception. The wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways. Guys, it's encouraging for us here that we've got to give thought to our ways, what we're wanting to do, what we're trying to accomplish. Guys, too often we put these, it's really sad. The stress of the day dictates everything. And it takes away from the planning aspect and the future and the dreaming and presenting something marvelous and wonderful. Guys, we got to get over this. So I'm going to go through some stuff today, and I hope you write it down and understand that it would be better right now, actually, if my wife was up here on the stage with me, because she has a firmer grasp on this than I do. But I want to talk a little bit about children this morning. And no one close off. Don't be like, I don't have kids. I don't want them. Well, if you don't want them, then you better be a good aunt and uncle and take care of your niece and nephews, okay? Because we all need it, those of us that have kids. But if you have children, then praise God and you understand that children are a blessing. That's a truth. It's a promise from God, and so we have to find out why they are a blessing. If you have one kid in your household, awesome. There's nothing wrong with you. You are great. You are a one-child type of household. That's fun. But I got to be honest, if you have more than 3, then you, my friend, are awesomer. You just got outnumbered, and you were willing to do this. Like, that's nuts. Like, it is. My wife and I, when we realized we were outnumbered, we knew this was dumb. Everything about it was just silly. But then we were like, everybody's got to have a roller coaster buddy, so we got to have even numbers. So we went for 4 kids, right? Just really dumb. That was dumb. It was so dumb. We love kids, and don't take away from this. I think, oh, Pastor Josh, he's so regretful of having children. No, that's not the case. Again, they're blessings, and we love them. Individualities, all the personalities, oh my gosh, it's a blast in my house. It's non-stop. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And one of the things we're going to talk about is creating space. You got to create space in your household. If a glass is your home and the pitcher of water is your kids, you can pour that into that glass and it will take up every bit of space. And to verify this is let your child at 2 o'clock in the morning after a nightmare come lay in your bed. It is Satan. It is the most god-awful thing you could ever do. They take up every bit of space in your bed. They don't just lay perfect with you. It's like they don't snuggle. There's no such thing as snuggle at 2 in the morning. They turn sideways. Head is in my gut. Feet is in her gut. And they are kicking, twirling, spinning. It is the worst thing on the planet. But that, my friend, confirms my illustration this morning that kids, if given the ability, will take up every amount of space in your house. And you have to be wise enough to create the space that you need for your own needs as well. You've got to put limitations on your children. Again, these are things my wife and I are working on, but we had to make the determination that there was not going to be toys in our house downstairs. That was it. No more toys downstairs. I was tired of coming home and seeing clutter. Still to this day, though, toys come down magically. They're magic, because when you say, whose toy is this? Not mine. Magically, they appeared. I do believe in the Toy Story. I do. So it is our responsibility to set that standard for our children to say, toys are upstairs. Now, there is a dollhouse in my fireplace room, and trust me, I would like to burn it. I had boys, and I understood figurines and little machine guns were awesome, and I could deal with that. But now there are miniature fruits all over my floor, miniature dishes, miniature coffee mugs, and I can see Carly, and I'm like, what? Burn them. Burn them. But that is in our house right now. It is downstairs. I'm not going to lie. You can show up to my house unannounced if you'd like, and you'd like to see it. That's fine. I'll show you that we are not perfect. But I would encourage you to make a standard that all toys are upstairs. Create space for you. If I came home, and when I come home and I just see clutter everywhere, it is taxing on my brain. I get in that house and I'm like, ugh, it's just everywhere. There's toys. I'm kicking them into a corner of the house. I'm bundling them up with a blanket of sorts, and I'm like, here, child, take these upstairs. My wife, we're putting our kids to bed. She steps on a Power Ranger, and it was like a spiky Power Ranger. She's on the floor in a fetal position, screaming, crying. I look at Cohen. It was his Power Ranger. I said, Cohen, your room should have been cleaned, and now Mom's hurt. And he just stares at me with a gaze, and I go, Cohen, go tell her you're sorry. He's like, and it was priceless male. Like I could see him being a grown-up male, because he walks over to her and he goes, I'm sorry, Mom. Like Cohen had no idea how to approach the situation. I go, you hug her, you embrace her, rub her back, and you tell her you're sorry. So he did. He kind of was like, I'm sorry, Mom. But guys, toys upstairs. You got to create space for you. That's the key ingredient to this, okay? Also, in your conversations, you've got to teach your kids to hush it up. When it's mom and dad time talking, they can't come interrupt. My wife and I will be on the couch, and we'll just be sitting there, and we'll have a great conversation about the day, and all of a sudden, Colton just starts yelling, booger pants, I gotta go poop! And you're like, it's so distracting, you know? Cohen comes running up, he stands in front of me, so getting between Anna and I, and he starts talking to me, and I'm like, stop, son, stop, down. You've got to create a standard that they have to respect this right here. They have to respect you, and they cannot talk. So we've set it up so before they can get our attention, they've got to walk over, they place their hand on our arm, and they say, excuse me. So that prevents them from going, Dad, 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 Dad. Because obviously I did hear them the first time, right? So they'll put their hand right here on our forearm, and they'll place it there until we can get to them. And I don't care. That doesn't bother me. They just put their hand there. I know they're still there, even if they didn't do this, because I can just smell them. But children, they seriously suck every bit of life out of you. I love them dearly, but I'm just sitting on my couch, and all of a sudden I'm like, what is that? And I put my hand in between a cushion, and I'm like, no. I don't even know what it is, but it's just cold and wet. No. I'm so upset, right? But that's what kids do. So you have to be prepared for this. You've got to be prepared for this. It's tough. So create those spaces. Get yourself in a conversation where it's just you and your wife, and they acknowledge that this is more important, rather than feed me a snack or wipe my rear end. That kind of is important. Okay, if you got to wipe their rear end, stop the conversation, because you don't know where that rear end's going to touch next. So we've learned that the hard way. Maybe don't show up to our house unannounced. Let us clean the poop off the stairs, okay, before you show up. Think I'm kidding. In your schedule, don't let your kids completely dominate your time, your schedule. Guys, I know that some of you have some Tiger Woods in you, as far as like, hey, let's get my kids to sports 24/7. They got to be the next Michael Jordan. You know, it's like you put these standard of high standards. Before you know it, you're doing so many different things. I've heard of parents who have a daughter, and they're in competition cheerleading. And on competition cheerleading, they also have ballet, dance. They have all this stuff, and the money that it takes, and they're traveling everywhere. Wow. I'm not ready for that. I'm not. We deal with certain sports right now, and even that is tough because we got different ages. So one kid's at one sports practice, and then the next day is another sports practice, or at the same time. So our family unit is separated, and that's tough. And it's hard to make up your family time during the week because your schedule is overwhelmed with kids. Because I don't know what happens in life. I guess I blame Tiger Woods. I blame his father for all of this. Because it used to be kids were okay to just stink at sports. But now, like, your sixth grader has to show potential. There's colleges out there that are looking at fifth graders. And I know you're thinking, well, we got to get on the ball. Shaq was looked at in the fifth grade by Dale Brown, Coach Dale Brown from LSU. It was the eighth grade is when he got Shaq to kind of make sure that he was coming. People talked about this. I remember O.J. Mayo was from my hometown. O.J. Mayo, some of you are like, I don't know, O.J. Mayo's good. I'm glad, okay? But O.J. Mayo, I remember he was in the fifth grade, and people were talking about him in the fifth grade because of his skill talent. And that's great, and that's wonderful. And if you have one of those kids, I praise you. But my wife and I both recognize one of our kids will probably be athletic, the other one will be a singer, the other one will be intelligent. We've kind of learned those things. So the latter ones will kind of be a little, But we recognize one of them has some athletic ability, and so we want to obviously give him those chances. So, but the problem is we don't want to overwhelm them and then also kill our family time. Family time is not us sitting on the sideline watching our kids. Family time is us interacting together. So be careful that your schedule doesn't become overwhelmed where you're not having quality family time. Guys, you have to have that time set apart. Guys, if you don't, you are stealing your treasure out of that chest. You are. You're taking it right out. And these are very important times. Too often we as families, we're anxious to go to the next step. It's like my wife and I, we will admit, we sit there and we can go, when all of our kids get in elementary school, then we can party. And then we sit here and we get mad because Carly was born in September, our youngest, so that means we'll have her for an extra year. So we're like, no. But we did learn that Christian school will take them earlier. We're like, all the other kids will go to public school. Carly will go to Christian school at least 1 year. We're working this beast out. But that's sad. That's sad that that's how our life is working, that we're like pushing our future away from us, you know? Guys, we've got to learn to do these things. Guys, what's cheaper, right? What's cheaper in the long run? Therapy for our kids, right? So the problem is there's an imbalance going on in our family dynamic with our children. See, in the younger stages, we need to be able to control them. And we need to have control on their schedule. The sad thing is, and there needs to be a balance with influence as well. So there needs to be influence, why, and understanding, and teaching, and showing them respect. Because then what's taking place is we try to control them when they're teenagers and they're flipping us off, running out the door. They're dating the individual that they shouldn't be dating. All because now you're trying to control them when you should have controlled them when they were younger. That's why there's so much disrespect going on in the house with this idea of I'll do what I want. And it's like, no, you won't. Did I not raise you up as you know? Now I understand. I've met some great people, and I've seen their family dynamic where I go, wow, they are good with kids, and their kid still turns out like wildfire. Like I've seen these moments, and I've talked to certain individuals in this room. They go, I don't know how it happened, and I would agree with them. I don't know sure how it happened either, other than just influences. People in their circle at school. Because remember, they are now spending more time with their schoolmates than they are with you. So is there a bad apple in the group? I'm sure there probably is. You as a parent have all the right to kill that bad apple. Not literally, figuratively speaking, doing what's necessary to create an environment for them that they can also see that those are bad apples. All right? So it's really important that we grab hold of this concept. Otherwise, again, it's going to get expensive in the long run. That's why some of you still have children living with you. I know I just hit a nerve with some because I know some of you have children still living with you. It's sad when there's a moment where you're above the age of accountability, well above the age of accountability, and you still haven't got your act together. Now, I understand there's a prep time and there's some time to get your act together, and don't get offended right now. Hey, listen, don't get offended. Get your act straight. Oh, ouch, right? I mean, come on, let's be direct on this, rather than keep babying. Get your act right. Get your plans together and get things in order. This is your time now. Luckily, you have good parents that are taking care of you. Don't take advantage of them. Take advantage of the time that you have right now and get your act together and get some plans put in place. All right? So don't get all mad because you're just proving the point of why you're at your parents' house. Sorry, that was free. Stay connected with your spouse. Stay connected with their needs, okay? You got to do this. So create an atmosphere at home to take care of yourself. So my wife and I told on this earlier, so I'm going to tell us again, okay? Because it's only right that I don't do this when you're in children's church. You can't hear me. But my wife finds herself in the bathroom a lot during the day. And it's not what you think. My wife is hiding. And so, because I'll go, baby, what are you in the bathroom for? You were just in the bathroom. She goes, I know. I'm just hiding, hanging out. Well, you know what's sad is I don't want her just to hang out in the restroom. That shouldn't be her hangout. Her hangout should be our bedroom at least. So creating an atmosphere for our bedroom would be better. But I've heard her say, I don't want to get out in our bedroom because it's dirty. Our bathroom's clean. So there needs to be a balance where she can get out of the restroom, into the bedroom, and no one bother her. All right? For her to lay there in the bed and just relax. So for us both, we have to create an atmosphere at home to take care of ourselves. The other aspect of this is, what can I do to help? My wife and I, we share roles, but I know her roles and she knows mine, and it's totally fun. So I'm not feminist. I'm not against women's, liberation. I'm not against all that stuff. I want you guys to be who you are and all that kind of stuff, okay? But my wife, she's the one who prepares most meals in our house. So while she's preparing meals, I can easily go up to her and say, hey, baby, what can I do to help? How can I help to prepare for this as well? And she usually says, get the drinks and set the table for me. Easy, got it. But you know what else can go above and beyond? And I haven't done this yet, so I got to work on it. But my wife was a snacker, okay? It's really bizarre to me. So while she's making dinner, she's snacking on the side. So like making cornbread and like beans, she's sitting there eating potato chips. Like, it's just weird. So, but she also sits there. I could easily, while she's getting that done, I could lay out some snacks for her. Get her nice little, her drink that she wants, whether it be a glass of water, some ginger ale or something. I set that out so she can snack while she's cooking. That would be nice for me to do for her. She would actually love me for it. Those are some extra things to say, hey, what can I do to help you to make this more pleasurable? Do you think she loves to cook? No, she doesn't love to cook. She does it because it's a task. But if we can do something to offset that, that would be beneficial, okay? So what can we do? What can we do to help? So think about those things as you're looking at the menial tasks of life. What can I do to make this better for that person? You know, one of the things I love is my role is outside. And sometimes when I'm doing the yard work or I'm mowing the grass, my wife will come out and she'll bring me a drink. Sometimes unannounced. Sometimes she'll yell, hey, do you want something to drink? Or what would you want? Sometimes she just brings me a drink. I love it. Sometimes it's water, and I don't really want water. I'm like, thanks. Now, I drink it because she wants me to be healthy. It's important. But then all of a sudden, she'll start doing yard work, and I love it. Sometimes she'll start the lawnmower up and start mowing the lawn, and I walk outside and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. And she goes, let me do this. I'm like, all right, you do. But I love when she does that kind of stuff. It just excites me. There's something, it does give me comfort when I see my wife outside with me doing yard work. I like it. It's fun, okay? So that's something you can do and create help. Now with your words, you got to start saying thank you more often. And not only just saying the words thank you, but being appreciative. Because guys, here's the key thing about this, is that when you do get married, it becomes like the standard of it's just the way it is. It becomes like obligatory. It's her obligation to do it for me because she has to do it. It's this idea that she can't dump me anymore. My wife breaks up with me often. She'll break up with me, she'll go upstairs into the bathroom, but I know in my heart that she can't dump me. She can't dump me. It's not going to happen. It's going to cost too much money. It's not worth it. Right? She can't dump me. So because of that attitude, I may form an attitude back that basically says, I can do and say what I want. I can act how I want. But that doesn't work anymore because I've got to show her love. I've got to show her appreciation for what she does. So get out of the old rut with this idea of it's standard. That whole idea, and I know it's funny, we see it on television shows and stuff, but you really can't bring that into your house. But that whole thing of like, woman, bring me my food. That's just dumb. That's silly. That's silly. Guys, it goes all the way around. We have to be appreciative of each other and showing affection and with thank yous. This is good. We also need to learn how to build up and not tear down. As I use the rose as an illustration, guys, we've got to build each other up with words of affirmation. We have to show each other that goodness and that excitement with each other. If there's no excitement in it and all we're doing is tearing each other up, you guys, it's sad. It's so sad. It's pathetic, actually, that all you can do is just tear each other down rather than love on one another. We learned in the book Weird, Craig Groeschel says, he says, tell your spouse, I love you because, and then follow it up rather than I love you, because that's easy. That's easy to do. But saying, I love you because helps. We've got to use words. We've got to show action. We've got to make this work. It's too easy to fall in love, but to stay in love, it takes a plan. We've got to do this. Now, with your time, date nights are great. I'll be honest. I was, this past week, someone said, you've got to have a date night a week. That's a leader that I was hanging out with this past week, and they said, you've got to have a date a week. Now, this came from a pastor who has one kid, and the kid's in elementary school. So it was kind of hard for me to swallow that because I was kind of like, dude, my wife and I, we don't have family down here. So we have 4 kids, and for us, we're not going to cheat out our babysitters, okay? Not going to happen. We're going to pay them for what they're worth. 4 kids, So 4 kids for like 4 hours or 5 hours, we pay them $40. And that's standard. I mean, that's actually getting by. And also on top of that, we order a pizza because we have to feed our kids. So there's another $10, $12, depending upon if you want your kids to be healthy or not. Little Caesars is so tempting. So cardboard or something halfway decent. So that's the bill on top of it. And then plus our date, wherever we go, $40 there. So we're looking at $100 at least, for this whole night. And if we did that once a week, that's a $400 a month budget. Now, yes, that's not necessarily has to be Olive Garden or Red Lobster every time we go out to eat, okay? We could go to McDonald's, I'm sure, and we can do something like that and be creative, absolutely. But still, there's a budget there for our children, so that's kind of tough for us. So I would say that you still in your schedule, if not, you have to do at least a once-a-month type of date. But throughout the week, getting your kids to bed early. You say, I can't do that. Our kids go to bed at like 9. Well, take them to the park when you get home. Wear their butts out at the park so they're exhausted rather than just playing video games and their brains just being stimulated, okay? So take them to the park, wear them out, bring them home, put them to bed early, and set some time apart there on the couch with you two. Okay? And I don't mean set some time apart where all you do is just watch television, but also talk and engage with one another. Set plans. That's fun. Talk with each other. Talk to one another. That's important, all right? So date nights, be creative. It's not that hard, okay? Now, sexual intimacy arises from emotional intimacy. You guys understand this? So sexual intimacy arises from emotional intimacy. We say it often is that if you clean the dishes before your wife can get to them, my friends, that is emotional intimacy. All right? If you go upstairs and you collect all the clothes from the dirty hampers and you bring them downstairs and you sit there and you wash them and you fold them, that, my friend, is emotional intimacy. If you've had a hard day, emotional intimacy can be achieved by looking at your spouse and acknowledging they have a hard day and going, day. Hey kids, everyone, come here. And you take all the kids and you take them outside and play with them in the front yard or in the backyard and play with them. All right, get them busy, leaving them to go to alone time in the house and it not being the bathroom, okay, but alone time where they can do what they want, lay around wherever they want and have peace and quiet. So you can take them outside or you can get them all in the car and go to the park by yourself and let that person have alone time. Because when you get home, it's emotional intimacy because they look at you and go, I love you. Now, when I get home, though, from the park, I shouldn't set a standard or an expectation that, oh, baby, now it's sexual intimacy time. Because that kind of brings on this whole idea of like I love sexual intimacy, and everyone in this room should have a healthy sexual intimacy, okay? Everyone in this room. I read a book that I was so sad. I read the cover of the book. I would never read this book. I was so saddened by this book. And I shared it with my wife, and she totally agrees. But how to keep your man's hands off of you. Because, and it was really from this. It wasn't some mix of a twist inside the story. But it was a real idea of how to keep your men from constantly just all they want is sex. I thought, well, gosh, that's horrible. That's horrible. That's like the worst thing ever written. Man, this is your moment to be like, amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. One of you. All of you men, I hope you don't have sex tonight. You guys all should boo right there. You guys are really is it that hard on you guys with daylight savings? Listen, you guys need to wake up to the fact that, guys, sex is healthy, okay? But there needs to be some talk about it, and we'll really get into it next week. I'm prematurely jumping the gun here. But, guys, you have to have some intimacy emotionally. And then that, in turn, will create sexual intimacy, but it shouldn't be a forced sexual intimacy where it's like, I rubbed your back, you rub my back, okay? That doesn't work. There needs to be some health to this, all right? So be smart, get excited, and husbands, take the lead on this. And wives, take the lead on this. This goes both ways. I've heard it in both sides that one wants sex more than the other. Guys, it goes both ways. It's across the field here. But make it happen. It's very, very important. Now, the key to this whole message this morning is this. And I hope you see the underlying message. And that's that when you have no plan or no strategy, you will always sacrifice what is important for what is immediate. When you have no plan, no strategy, you will always sacrifice what is important for what is immediate. That's what will happen. And when the kids come running up, they will immediately take all of your time. They immediately drain you because they want to ask you, and you're like, stop. There's a plan to this. When my kid comes up to me and he has a handful of candy, and he goes, I want candy! And you go, no, how did you get this? Where is it at? You know, it's like, how? We need to have a plan that candy is away. They only get candy at certain times. My wife and I, she goes to the grocery store, and when she goes to the grocery store, she finds healthier snacks, cucumbers. We cut them up, carrots, celery with peanut butter. We do these types of things, and they're set for certain times of the day so they don't walk in and they don't do this stuff because there's a plan. One time I had to take care of my kids because Anna was sick. Now, I don't know how she did this before, but I was taking care of them, and then I said, baby, I got to leave. She goes, you can't leave, I'm sick. And I go, oh, I'm leaving. I'll be back in 10 minutes. I came back home with locks, child locks. I put it on everything in our house. I put a lock on the fridge, and there stood Cohen crying. I'm never going to eat again. And I took a photo of it. I took a photo of him crying beside the fridge because I wanted to remember that moment. I was so mad at coming downstairs at times and finding the refrigerator door wide open and they're on the couch. I was done with this. This is not going to happen. Somehow Anna was able to manage it better, but I wasn't. So I was going to handle this the way I did, so I locked everything up. But you have to put some standards. You have to put some strategy into this, some planning. Otherwise, you're always going to be working with the immediate, and it's going to drain you and suck you dry. So where you just go nuts. Get a plan. When's the last time, my wife and I never done this, but we're going to do this. Because she's always looking for homes, and we watch way too much HGTV. Way too much. God, I love Fixer Upper. That's like the best show, you know. Gosh, I love that show. I want to move to Waco, Texas, just to have them work on a house for me. That's our next church. Trailhead's going to go to Waco. Yeah. So anyway, so you know, I think if some of us think, oh, this is too hard, we're not artistic enough. Every one of you learned how to draw a square when you were in elementary school, so don't make that excuse. But guys, sit down and draw out your dream home. That's making a plan. That's having fun. You sit out and you draw a big square. You draw a little circle in the backyard, and that does not represent the trampoline. That's a swimming pool, you know. Like, have some fun with this. Make plans. Get strategy. Set some stuff up. My wife and I, 6 months ago, we planned a trip. Now, at the moment, in the immediate time frame, it was impossible. And we didn't have the money. And we looked at each other like, this is a lot. This is too much. How do we handle this? It was tough. But guess what? Now we're down to the wire. 2 months and we're gone. A week away from kids. We've planned it all, strategically got the parents involved. We saved the right money off to the side, bought the right plane ticket. So my wife and I, along with Tom and Hillary, we're flying out in May to go hike Mount Whitney in California. And we're so excited. We're excited because Some of you are like, oh, that sounds more like a trip for you, not Anna. No, she wants to do it too, and she's pumped because it's like I get to the gym and work out and get myself healthy, and we've got a goal set for us. It's going to be a strenuous trip as far as hiking goes, and we're so excited. And it's just, she told me on the phone last week, she's like, we're only like 2 months away from this trip. I go, I know, isn't it great? She's like, I know, I'm getting really excited, It's exciting. Those memories we're going to build and those the stuff we're going to bond over. So guys, this is something in the immediate, it was done. Me and Anna both kept going back and forth. Oh my gosh, it's this. How are we going to get this? We could have just nipped it right there in the bud and it would have been over and we still wouldn't have something planned. But we planned it out. We worked on it. And we prayed. And extra finances came in. Extra unordinary type of finances just showed up. And I was like, oh, we got an extra $200 and we weren't supposed to get this. And how great was this? Because now we can do this. Guys, don't let your immediate circumstance dictate your future, because what's happening is it's going to drain your future and you won't have one. What's cheaper? What's cheaper? Cheaper to go on dates or cheaper to buy a divorce lawyer? What's cheaper? What's cheaper emotionally in the inside of your love account? What's cheaper? Telling each other that you love each other, or sitting there in a rage fit and battle and bringing both sides of the family involved and all your children and all of the headache in the future and all of the things that bring into that picture? What's cheaper? A whole lot cheaper. I can look at my wife and I can love on her and it's so much fun. Or I can sit there and I can yell and beat her up, tear her down emotionally, and we're to the point where she just can't handle it and she's out. Is that really where I want to be? No. I want to love on her. She's a treasure, and I'm her treasure, and we work on this together. So guys, I encourage you, when you have no plan or strategy, expect that you will always be tending to the immediate. But when you have a plan, and you have a strategy, then what's important will always be the forefront of your thought. And that's where you want to be in life.